Thanks, Karen, and we'll try again, will we? Rightio. I would like to talk to you about the hatchery, and here it is. This is the 7th of April photograph. At this point, it was 50% of the earthworks were completed. But let me go back a little bit and talk about how we got there. First of all, why do we need a hatchery? It's a fair question. Taylor covered it a little bit earlier, but native fish need our help because our rivers are so profoundly changed. We also want to secure the supply of stocked fish. And at the moment, we're relying, 90% of our fish are coming from New South Wales hatcheries. And those New South Wales hatcheries have changed a lot. They've been consolidated. There's international investment now in them. And they're starting to diversify away from small fish into on-growing fish for the table. Delicious Murray cod. So we're concerned that that might impact the security of our fish. Also, we've got a great hatchery that's 70 years old at Snobs Creek that's kicking goals and doing really terrific things. But Snobs Creek's not the best place in Victoria to grow native fish. It's too cold. Now, we can get 2 production ponds worth of Murray cod a year out of Snobs Creek. We're confident that at Arcadia we'll probably get 3 because of the temperature. So the temperature's far better. But when we do grow more Murray cod and golden perch and catfish at Arcadia, we'll free up capacity at Snobs Creek so we can do other fish like macquarie perch and trout cod, which are cooler water fish, which desperately need our help even more. And of course, we're all about building better recreational fisheries, and stocking is a really important strategy to achieve that. So we searched high and low to find the perfect site. We built a GIS model. We had 18 key selection criteria, and we pumped that model out, and that gave us some insight to which locations might best suit our requirements for a hatchery. And the brief was somewhere around the Shepparton area. We ended up zooming in on a property at a place called Arcadia, which is about 20 minutes south of here, which seemed to meet all of our requirements. We looked at 27 properties before we found that particular property. No property was perfect, but Arcadia was pretty close to it. Had all the key criteria that we really wanted. As a consequence, 18 months ago, we actually bought that property. It was 170 hectares, and we're really pleased with it. And that's the aerial shot of it, and the Goulburn River is in the top. And it's a long property. It's about 2 kilometres long, and it's about 900 metres wide. So it's pretty sizable. About 70% of it is above the floodplain level, which is really good in terms of risk management. Now, we were pretty confident about the site, but we sought some divine inspiration. So we looked at Greek mythology, and we plugged in the word Arcadia, and it said, place of idyllic innocence, simple or untroubled, so we thought that was pretty good. And it turns out that in terms of Greek mythology, it is a land of plenty, it's a paradise, and it's considered to be, the ultimate pleasure location of the gods. So we thought, well, that's pretty cool. So on the basis of that, we bought it. Now, in terms of the property itself, it's got terrific assets. It's got Castle Creek flowing through it. We've got a winter diversion licence. We can extract water from that. It's also got channel water, Golden Murray water channel water to the property. It's got a 60 megalitre farm dam, turkey nest farm dam. And the Goulburn River's literally a stone's throw from the hatchery. So we've got lots of surface water opportunities, which is terrific. But more importantly, we found terrific groundwater. And we put a fair bit of effort. This is one of our key selection criteria for the hatchery site. We did a pilot drill hole. We found good quality water at 74 metres, and we've since converted that into a commercial production bore, which has a 30 centimetre bore, which is quite a big bore. We've calculated that bore could pump between 10 and 12 megalitres a day, and it's drinking quality water, so we're very pleased about that. And it's a real asset for the farm because groundwater has no contaminants and it has no bacteria of any significance. It certainly doesn't have any pathogens for the fish. So we're starting off with a sterile base, which is a terrific asset for fish farming. So we've got the bore. There's some buildings at Arcadia as well. There's a beautiful 1880s heritage listed 4-bedroom house with Baltic pine floorboards. And we're in the process of just renovating that at the moment. There's also a dairy shed used for cattle, and we can convert that into a fingling outtake area and also a quarantine area out of season. So the buildings work for us really well. In terms of design, here's a blueprint of the brood ponds that we've almost completely built now, a total of 12 of them. Most of them are 30 metres by 60 metres. They're about 2.5 metres deep, a bit deeper than the Plankton Ponds. They will hold the Murray cod predominantly. The two smaller ones, you can see on the right-hand side, they're for golden perch. And they're smaller because with golden perch conditioning in brood ponds, we have to lower the water level and drain them every 2 or 3 times a year. And we don't need that space because they can be stocked at a higher stocking rate. So put a fair bit of effort into the brood pond design. And here's the brood ponds being constructed. There's the house, as you can see, the 4-bedroom house is at the top there. We wanted to make sure the brood ponds were close to the house for security purposes because they're very valuable to us. And this photograph shows some of the underground works that were developed that sit underneath the ponds, effectively the drainage system. And if you take it a little bit further, you can see a couple of things about this photograph. You can see the soil is very consistent right through. It's a high quality clay, and that's quite rare for this area, and that was one of the key assets of the property. And in order to get the drainage sorted for the brood ponds and for the plankton ponds, we've had to go down about 3.5 metres. So a fair bit of excavation work that you wouldn't normally associate with the pond, but that's what we've done. We used a company called Apex, and they're doing a terrific job. And that work is 75% of the way through. Here's some of the pipe work we've used for the drainage right across the whole farm, about 5 kilometres of piping. This piping is 225 millimetres, so quite sizable pipe. It's extra heavy duty, and we got that at a reasonable price too. And that's Chris. He's our project manager on site, and he works for a company called the Wedge Group, which are also doing a great job for us. Now the plankton ponds, this is what I call a module of plankton ponds. Each plankton pond is 30 metres by 60 metres. They all gravity flow to the lines that are shown in red there, and those lines that are shown in red are the drainage systems where the fish travel once the pond is drained. And they all travel to a centralised location here. This is called a harvest station. And this is quite an innovative design. It means that a pond of fish up here can travel effectively all the way down there, about 250 metres, all the way down to there, and be delivered to this location via a valve, if you like, a turnkey valve, and we can select a particular pond, open the valve, and it can be drained, and the fish arrive at this location down here. Now this area here is an underground system. It's a tunnel, effectively. And we've picked up on this as best practice technology and taken it a little bit further. And this is how it looks at the moment. So this is called our harvest sump, and you can see here the big pipes coming out. This is ground level up here by the time they're finished. So this is about 3.5 metres underground. And what happens is a truck comes in here, or a car comes in here with a big trailer. It pulls in, we crank the valve, we select the pond where it comes from. The fish are automatically delivered here. They're separated from water and fish. There's a big a big wastewater treatment area here. Pulls the wastewater out, takes it back to a reuse system. We're looking at recirculating about 70% of our water. The rest is effectively evaporation. So it's very sustainable use, and it's quite an innovative program. We're very happy with it. In theory, hopefully it'll work. So there's another photograph of where we were at a couple of weeks ago. We're a little bit further on now, but they're the Plankton Ponds. You get a sense of the scale of them. Again, you get a sense of the excavation work underneath. This is our hatchery building. Now, this is not a whiz-bang Rolls-Royce type setup. This is a pretty simple hatchery building. It's 50 metres by 16 metres, and it has a range of features. It has, this area is dedicated to golden perch, and they're golden perch. This area is dedicated to Murray cod. Here are the incubators for the Murray cod, and here are the larval grow-out areas for Murray cod as well. There's the Artemia room there. This area is a dedicated water treatment system which has biological filtration, it also has mechanical filtration. It'll have a heater and chiller, and it'll have a desalination unit. Desalination is important for the early egg hardening of golden perch. They don't like salty water. So we've put a fair bit of energy and effort into that. We're going out to tender. We're just getting this peer reviewed at the moment, but we're pretty comfortable that that's going to meet our requirements for the hatchery. And it won't be glorious. It'll be effectively a tin shed that's a bit insulated, but it'll be very practical and it'll do the job nicely. In terms of fish, what we can expect to produce out of what we call stage 1, which is what you've seen, conservatively 1.6 million fish a year. We think we might be able to do better than that, but you know, we like to under-promise and over-deliver. We also will, down the track, certainly get into freshwater catfish breeding and probably silver perch as well. So these are the main bread and butter fish that thrive in warm conditions. Also, we're starting work on designing of an office building. This is just an early draft, but I thought I'd just show you. You know, nothing sophisticated. We want to keep costs down, so we're looking at transportable buildings, 2 pods basically strung together. And one of the advantages of a portable building is that if we do get additional funding to grow the hatchery beyond stage 1, these are all movable. So that really makes sense for the longer term. You know, we want to make sure that it's comfortable and it presents a sort of professional image for the Victorian Fisheries Authority. We want to be very proud of it at the end of the day. Now, also, you may have heard a couple of weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, we had an exciting announcement of a visitor centre. So this is a $3 million additional funding package from Regional Development Victoria to build a visitor centre at the front of the hatchery. And you can see that red dot there, or that red circle. This represents stage 2. We're not there yet. We've only got these 2 modules, that one and that one, but ultimately we'll get to stage 2 and possibly even stage 3. And this is the area that we've selected as a visitor centre, pretty much at the start of the property. The visitor centre will have a big Murray cod statue, a very strong historical presentations around fishing history, very big emphasis on Indigenous culture. We want to work very closely with Yorta Yorta, get some artwork in there and help tell the deeper story behind native fish. It's a very important part of the whole thing. And we're really looking forward to working with Yorta Yorta in that space. We also want to do a timeline series to put the hatchery in context. We want to start with the unique evolution of native fish around the world. We want to talk about Indigenous culture, Indigenous history and that deep connection. We want to then move on to how important native fish were for the early settlers to keep the colonies going. We want to tell that sad story of over-harvest and commercial exploitation. And then we want to talk about the even sadder story about river health and how it was degraded and how it's materially impacting our fishery. And then out of that, if in terms of the timeline, we start coming into this new age of sustainable conservation thinking, where we're looking at interventions like river health restoration, like fish stocking, that sort of stuff, removing barriers to fish movement, things of that nature. But we want this visitor centre to be very much a family affair, and we will have a viewing platform over the hatchery. We'll have it a fish out and a yabby pond for the kids and families to come and catch their native fish and catch a yabby. We'll have extensive barbecue, picnics, and a fishy-themed playground, and we'll set it in a bit of a wetland. It'll take a few years to evolve in terms of a a landscape. But this is our current thinking, and we put this proposal up probably 8 months ago now, and we ended up getting a result, and based on this concept plan. So this is what the visitor centre looks like. It's sort of a new modern architect design thing. It'll be an interpretive centre. We hope to get between 5,000 and 10,000 visitors a year. They're the sort of visitor demographics we hope for, and during construction it'll be pretty significant for Shepparton, and ongoing it'll make a real contribution to Shepparton. We've got very strong support from the Shepparton Council about this as well, and that work is in the very early stages of planning. But we have secured the funding. I just wanted to thank a few people just as I wrap up. The hatchery, developing this hatchery was very much an internal design idea. So rather than go out to get expensive consultants to tell us what they think we want, we actually did most of it ourselves. Because we realised that we've got enormous capacity internal within Fisheries Victoria. We've grown Murray cod and golden perch and trout at Snops Creek for 70 years. We've got some exceptional expertise, particularly Steve Fiddler, Brett Ingram, and we've also now engaged a project engineer who's working on the hatchery for us as well. Danny was involved in the early stages. We got an aquatic, one of Australia's leading aquatic vets involved. Brian was there, Taylor was there, working with New South Wales Fisheries. We've got all these people, and Noel Penfold, who had the biggest Murray cod farm in Australia. Got all these people to come together for 2 days at Eildon and start at basics. What are the key qualities of a good native fish farm? What are the design parameters we want to think about? And that was a very important foundation stone for the whole hatchery. So we're very confident going forward that we have the right brains and the right input. But as we're going along, we're starting to see this as a community experience, and a lot of Shepparton businesses are really thrilled about the hatchery. And we've got the Wedge Group helping with engineering. Apex are the big contractors are doing the earthworks. We've got electrical companies. We've got social disability support services helping us out with cleaning. We've got the council and their Grow Shepparton initiative, drillers, plumbers, cleaners, and GoTAFE as well. One of the things we're doing is we'll be working with GoTAFE to roll out a fish farming and agriculture course in the near future to encourage Indigenous people employment opportunities. And also Yorta Yorta. We've been working with Yorta Yorta as well. So it just goes on. But it is very much a community experience, and I want it to be owned by the community, and I think we're going pretty well so far. And we've also recently secured 200 megalitres of groundwater for our bore, which has been terrific because it's a capped market and we had to buy into the market, and it's a bit complicated. But we've got the water, we've got the land, we've got the property, we've got lots of support. We're pretty much on track. We're struggling occasionally for budget, and the costs keep blowing out, but we're getting there, and I think we'll have a terrific hatchery, and the hatchery will be completed by November. And when it is completed by November, I'll make sure that everyone in this audience is invited to that opening event. It'll be massive. So I want you to come and look at it and feel a sense of ownership and pride of it. Here's a little video of a time lapse showing the build. Thank you.